of the toughest conversations that a lot of people have career-wise is indeed asking for a raise. Like a lot of times we work at a company, like we feel like we're putting in the work, but when it comes to like asking for the money that we think we're worth, or like after we've been there a certain amount of time and asking for an increase, like a lot of times we kind of like crumble up a little bit. We don't really come out chest out like this is what I want or this is what what like I've done based on my performance. So I really just wanted to start this conversation off with just hearing some of the barriers that kind of like prevent you, or what might like make you not come into an office like when you're speaking to your boss about asking for a raise, like with your chest out and like being bold with like asking for what you want.
I mean, just like fear of rejection is always a barrier to just having an uncomfortable conversation. Too, I mean, and a lot, not even too, just in general, there's a lot of factors that go in for asking for a raise or progression at your job. And one, depends on like your industry. It depends on what kind of company you're at. If you're at a company that's like fast growing, or your company is just kind of just, this is what we do. We make the same amount of money every year, whatever. We don't really go up, we don't go down, whatever. Right. And what the culture is, if it's like, if your boss is old school, I've had bosses in the past that believed in you had to go and you have to grind over time, then you get a bump. And then I have other bosses where, you know, just you shoot up, whatever, like how it goes. Like, it just depends on the situation. And it's not easy to go and have money is always an uncomfortable conversation, no matter who you have it with. Right. And you know, like there's levels to it. You know, like it's not. This is like a very, very like broad. A lot of factors to go into. Something you have to research. You can't just do this on a whim. It's like, you know what?
Yeah, it's not that one raise.
I want that raise, right? Because like I don't think you can leave. You can't. Well, I guess they can fire you, but you probably won't get fired or something like that. But you know, if you go in there and you ask for a raise and you know you're not up to snuff, you don't deserve a raise. You haven't been doing what you're supposed to for the raise. Your boss can look at you like you're crazy. Right. I'm gonna fire you, and they'd be like,
going forward, it's gonna be a little
like,
fun.
son, you literally been doing the same work for 5 years. Right. It hasn't gotten any better. Why would we pay you more? And you can argue, oh, you know, everybody's wage should go up over time, or maybe you disagree with that. But there's a lot of factors, a lot of ways that can go, and it's not an easy conversation to have at all.
Yeah, no, I definitely second that in terms of just like, you know, what is like the biggest fear or anxiety from asking for that? Like, honestly, it's myself. Like, I get so uptight and nervous about these type of things. I think one of the other things that goes into it, at least for me, I'm not sure if it's for everybody else, when you are on the verge of asking for a raise, promotion, anything like that, you know, if you're asking for some type of pay bump, you start to compare yourself a lot to others. You know, and it's one of those things where it's like, you know, you're looking around and you're just like, okay, I see this person over here doing this. And maybe you feel like, oh, dang, they be doing a little bit more than me. It's like you kind of like end up comparing like either your daily workload, or you see, okay, this person does a lot of different things that I'm not doing. Or, you know, from my field of work in general, it may be like, oh, dang, I may feel like, dang, this person has like more contracts than me, or they're doing this, they're doing that. And because you start to compare yourself so much to other people, you start to think, dang, am I worth it? Am I gonna be the one that they give the money to? Like if I decide I'm gonna open my mouth to ask this, are they gonna be able to give it to me or something like that? Because I know for me personally, even after I may like get a raise or anything like that, I may look around and be like, dang, I hope that person getting what they work, because they be working hard as hell. And it's one of those things where it just goes through your mind. You're just like, dang, man, I hope they getting everything. I hope they getting every penny that they asking for, what they supposed to be asking for. Because I know, like I've said 100 times, like within my job, I look around it with people who are like, I don't like using the word beneath me because it's just pejorative, but like people on like lower levels or things like that, I like look around, I'm like, dang, they do a lot of hard work. I sure hope they getting, you know, paid adequately for it, or one of those type of things. Or it's like, you know, even if you see people below you doing jobs, like, dang, this person doing this too. Are they gonna give me a raise? Like, are they gonna promote me? Are they gonna give me what I want if I feel like everybody else doing what I'm doing? But a lot of that's like psychological. It's all in your head, where it's like, you know, people not always, but they can see the good work you're doing. So it's just like, you know, you got to kind of get out your own way sometimes. Like the biggest way that some of these jobs can keep you down is just, you know, you're afraid of asking. You're just literally scared to open your mouth and ask them, oh, damn, hey, you think you got a little bit of extra coins?
These get real timid.
Yeah, like, any more of those raises?
You know,
can I have some more, sir?
Yeah, I'm about to say, you get your olive twist on. You sitting there like, you got some more? Like, you want a little bit more of that porridge, and you just scared to ask for it. You don't really know how to, you know, you don't know how to do it, or you just like, dang, man, am I worth more porridge? Should I be full, or should I starve? And so a lot of niggas, that's dead is. Niggas choose.
Stay down.
Bro, niggas choose to starve. We choose to starve.
Yeah.
Rather than ask for it, rather than ask to be full.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could be quite awkward. You know what I'm saying? Asking for a raise. I mean, I think just even saying it, like asking, you know what I'm saying, it's kind of like, what? Like, it almost is like begging. You know what I mean?
Right.
But, so you gotta, you know what I'm saying, maybe put it in a way that is like a proposal, or, you know what I'm saying, like almost sometimes you gotta present it like it's a presentation. Like, you know what I'm saying? I am worth XYZ because, like Aaron said, I've researched people in my field with the expertise that I have, and I bring XYZ. I've secured such and such revenue for the department, and this is why I deserve a raise. And they can say, the fuck I'm office, or they can say, yes, believe you deserve a raise. So,
Or they can say, let's talk about it.
yeah, let's talk about it. And then they say
Option three.
right. And then you never, and then there's even more anxiety because you don't want to be the one that brings it up again because they said let's talk.
Yeah.
So
when we come back Tuesday, we just ask for the raise on Monday.
Follow up. You know what I mean? Like, hey, Jim, did you remember we talked about that raise?
You remember?
Yeah. You gotta wait till Bob's back from that fishing trip.
Or you sent him an email where Malik shared PowerPoint raise again with you.
Hey,
just follow up.
Share
a
little comments.
Just share it with you. Just
This man reattached. Hey, just in case you didn't see it.
from my previous email, just wanted.
I'm not sure if this went out, but just want to say.
Pardon me, Malik shared this. He shared it like 50 times.
Version 5, like
You got all the vice presidents CC'd on that joint. You make sure everybody see it.
I just wanted to, you know what I'm saying, just loop you in.
Yeah, or is it a majority vote? Did like 3 out of 5 of you all have to vote for me?
When's the next board meeting again for the budget? I kind of just want to be in attendance. I just wanted to see if I could add any value to the meeting.
This man think go before the tribunal to get a raise.
That's funny.
You gotta talk to the executive assistant. Really, you gotta show him or her she respect. They know everything.
But I'm glad you said the thing about the just like, oh, I did XYZ, because one of the best advice I ever got in my career was at my current job. Somebody that I work with, he's older than me, he's seen a lot of stuff, and he unprovoked, like I barely knew him, like he was new to the company, I was new. He gave me just great advice. I didn't ask for him, he just gave it to me. I don't know why, I appreciate it. He said every time you get a project done in your company, and not just like your daily like task, whatever, but like when you do something like, you know, meaningful, you work with this project, you do budgeting or whatever for your project, you want to talk to a customer or something like that. It's something like meaningful, write it down. Just keep a log of it. So at the end of the year, like you go and you take that and, well, I did this, and that this year.
Right.
You know, like have something to back it up, right? And you know, that's really great advice. Even something I don't do enough of, you know. And I'm trying to go off memory, but like we get a lot done in, you know, time over the course of a year. So go there and have that backup. I mean, honestly, if you're gonna do something like this, you have to be prepared. It can't be a spur of the moment thing. And I think, you know, I mean, I see some of the other bubbles up there, like, you know, just more tips and just ways to do things. I think that is a good way to get your point across. You gotta have backup. But I think almost important to that is, like I said earlier, is knowing the culture of your company, knowing what kind of boss you have. Like, you have an old school boss that, yeah, you're doing all this great stuff. It's great work, but you know, here, you know, we like. Like Donnie said, you have to grind. There's a pathway to do this. You got to put your hours in, put your gears in to get to where you want to go. And if that works for you or that doesn't work for you, unfortunately, they're your boss. That's kind of how the culture is. So, you know, you can't expect them to just give you a $20,000-$30,000 raise if you only been there a year, even if you're kicking ass. And if that doesn't work for you, then you might have to look at other options. Or if you live in if you work for a company where they're growing fast, people move, it's like a meritocracy. Like, if you're kicking ass, you can expect, go ahead and take it up there. And you have a boss who's open to things like that. Also great, one always good point of advice, and it depends on what kind of company you are. Because again, I've been in a big company, I've been in a small company. It's hard, when it's a big company, it's hard to have a good relationship with your boss. Obviously, you want to be cordial with your boss, but to the point where you have one-on-ones with your boss, you're talking about stuff, and so it's easier to have those conversations as opposed to where you have like a boss who just sits in his office and he's kind of like Darth Vader when he comes out. Everybody gets quiet.
The man
Not
with
being
the
bad,
hill.
just like no one really knows him that well. He just has a million people. It's
Right.
harder to gain that rapport and then subsequently talk to him about something like that. So know your company, know what your worth is, what your value is, what you've done.
Market.
And yeah, know the market. Yeah, like I mean, use LinkedIn. Like LinkedIn has this really cool feature where you can put in like what your job title is and what the area you live in, and it'll tell you what the average salary is for that position in your area. So
Honestly, this is the perfect time right now to ask for a raise because
Yeah.
there are way more jobs than there are people. So
Yeah.
they want to fill some seats and they want to keep these seats hot. So if you want a raise, go on take these tips and like go on get that raise. I mean seriously, like I think another thing that I think if we're talking about tips, like a good point is to when you get a review, it's a good tip. It's a good opportunity too. Because that's
that's the time. Yeah, right there.
Unless there's some type of raise component that's in there that you when you sign and they say you get 3% bump depending on if there ain't nothing in there, well buddy, what the fuck we doing this raise for? I mean we're doing this review for. I wanna, you know what I'm saying, do this review, look good, alright, well you said I did well, where's the money at? You know what I mean? So I think that's another good opportunity to segue into a raise category.
Yeah, and good point to build off that too. Like, you should note down what you're doing, but you should also note down the feedback that you get. Like, whatever they tell you, like, hey, you're doing a good job in this, you're doing a good job in this, and it's good to be strategic when you ask for that raise. Like, so you say you have a 6-month review and then a year review. In that 6-month review, like take note of everything he's saying you're doing a good job above, everything that you can improve on. And then when you reach that year mark, that year review, you flip those right back at him. Or whenever you're trying to ask for that raise, you flip those back. Like you said, like, and as we both know, like, because they said it at the end of the day, they said, like, you're doing great at this. They've acknowledged that. So when you bring that up to them as to why, like, I should be paid more, what are they going to say? Like, you know what I mean? They can't take that back. You know what I'm saying? So.
That's a good point.
No, it definitely is. Honestly, I think another good thing that will always help you is like not that you could base everything around like the people that you have around you, but like having friends within your profession that you can kind of just like balance things off of, look at what they're doing and just kind of like see, oh, okay, you right there, you doing this. Not so much as a direct thing that could like literally help you, but I think that's also like beneficial because like you can also like look at that and be like, oh, okay, they're asking for this, they can do that. Like, all right, cool. You can also like go to them and be like, all right, what are you doing that you feel like you can even earn like this, that, or the third? Because I'll always say one of the things that always like, or maybe because I'm in communications, one of the things that always like strikes to me is like, yo, like women that I know that are in this, that are in my industry, like they trying to get the most out of this. They trying to make sure that they paid. And it's just like, you know, oh, okay, cool. What makes you think you can earn that? Not like a rude way, but just like you can actually just ask them, you know, okay, hey, what skills do you think that, you know, or what do you think I should be doing? I think one of the biggest things that always helps you is, bro, if you have a number, ask for your number. Don't ever be afraid to, I mean, look, the worst thing that anybody can tell you in life is no. Yeah. They're not gonna fire you just for having, unless your number's outrageous. Like, I mean, like, yo, for the most part, like, if you being real about like what you think you can earn and what you think like your value is, definitely don't be afraid to like ask for a number. It goes into what you're saying about knowing market value and all that type of stuff. But just generally speaking, like, yo, if you got a number in your head and it's like, okay, cool. So if I see other people that I know can do this, why the hell can't I do this? We have the same training, we're doing the same job. May not be at the same company, but you know, yeah, it is what it is. And if you find out, you know, your current people can't offer you that number that you have, all right, cool. You know, don't be afraid to walk away. I think that's also one of the biggest things, like, bruh, like, this is also
always good to look for a job when you got one.
Bruh, easiest time to find one because you got security. Yeah, you got plenty of security right now, and you know, like, you know, relationships and all that type of stuff. You look around, make sure that you're good, and you just, you know, take a leap of faith. You can find other things out here and just figure out, okay, cool, my worth isn't being valued here. Maybe I should just go ahead, you know, see what else is out there for me. If I really want to, you know, there's multiple ways to get a raise. The raise ain't always gonna come from your current company. Sometimes the raise is gonna come by hopping jobs. That is the easiest way to get a raise. You gotta leave to get a pay bump.
Because a lot of times they have like these bullshit rules in place. You can't jump more than 5% internally. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes you do have to jump. But another thing to build on that, ask for your number point. Sometimes you should ask for more than your number. You know what I'm saying? Because like especially knowing how companies work. Yeah. Like because at the end of the day, it's a business. Like they're not gonna give you. They're budgeting a certain amount. They're obviously going to try to have some savings, some company savings. So they're going to offer you a lower number than what they actually budgeted for that position. So if you like say, don't be afraid to like if you really want 115, ask for 120. You know what I'm saying? So like, so if they bump that down, then at least you're where you want to be. You know what I'm saying? Like you kind of got to play the game with it a little bit.
Add tax.
And sometimes that ties into the fears as well, because a lot of times this comes with my fears, the whole imposter syndrome thing. Like sometimes you feel like who am I to ask for this much? Who am I to jump up $20,000? Like, you know what I'm saying? Who am I to make that big of a jump? But sometimes you got to know how they work. You got to understand like that. And that goes into the market thing. Like when you see that other people are making that amount, you see that this is a fair amount. It's not like you asking for like, yo, give me $1 million. Like you're not asking for no crazy amount. You're asking what the average salary is for that position. So I think it's important to kind of just that whole shoot for the moon.
But you gotta make sure you're putting the work in too, right?
You got to,
That could be
absolutely.
Yeah, it could backfire too though. Say you do get that raise, and then now your work is slipping.
You ain't ready.
And then they gonna be like, man, we should never
You
be.
gotta make sure you're doing that work.
That raise. Now look at him. He act like he made it.
And also, like, I mean, you jump. And again, I'm not saying this to discourage anybody from getting a raise or doing what they feel they're valued to. But I mean, I do think like there is a point. So like me and my boss, we have good relationship, a good conversation, and I got a good raise this year. You know, it's not what I wanted it to be, obviously, because I have like delusion. I mean, I have like grand vision, you know, whatever. And my boss will sometimes tell me like, you know, listen, you're young, like, you know, and I'm in a great spot. I'm in a really, really good spot. He's like, young, like, stuff will come to you. Talking to my secretary, stuff will come to you in time, right? Because he's seen it. He's seen how it goes, see how companies work and all that. And to say what you say, like you have a top point in there about like how millennials are. I do think sometimes we like, I don't know if normalize our word, but just to be just like super impatient, expect everything right there. And I used to be all for that, but I guess as I've gotten older and I've just like listened to shut up and listen sometimes, I understand that like there is some times where we can't get everything immediately like that. I think our generation, I'm not trying to sound like a boomer or just be like cliche, but we do expect everything to happen just like right there, like instantly, like happen, like, and that's just not like. I just see a lot of people saying, "Oh, like when people post tweets or whatever, oh, it's ask for that job, quit the job when you're." Quit the job when things go when you're not feeling it, or they don't give you X. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, and they don't give you X amount of dollars. And the question is like, are you putting in the work? Not saying people aren't, but are you putting in the work? Are you going the extra mile to warrant that extra $5,000, $10,000? Because I know we live right now in a generation where it's just fuck capitalism, fuck business. They have $1 million, whatever, which is whatever. That's how you feel. That's totally fine. But are you putting the work in to earn that money? Because the thing is, when you get that promotion, you get that raise, like you get the expectations that come with that, and the higher up you go, you make more money. But the higher up you go, the more likely is for you to get popped when you start to screw up. Because when you're just like a regular entry level person, you screw up. So, look at Steve, he's so cute. That's all right, give me that. I'll do that for you. But when you're like you're progressing on the ladder, your fuck ups like get louder.
Damn it, Steve.
Yeah, they get louder, and there's more eyes on you. So it can't just be God damn it, I haven't gotten a raise in 6 months and pissed off. Because I felt that way before. I moved really fast in my company when I got there. And then when it slowed up or just normalized, I'm like, oh, what's going on? My boss had like a frank conversation with me. He was mad cool about it. He was like, Aaron, you're good and all, but like, things take time. Things take time.
Where's my 5G?
And it's not like it's not like he's just like super stringent. Oh, this is the way it is. You can't do it. It just it takes time, right? I mean, like you can't just go and just immediately get in and just go from about 50 to 150, 250 to your CEO. It takes time. It takes effort. And I think sometimes, just people our age, I think we do have a tendency sometimes when shit gets hard for us to be like, oh, what else can we do? Or what can we do? Sometimes shit is hard. Life is hard. Work is hard. And a lot of companies are just out there just to make as much money off of you as possible. I'm not gonna dispute that at all. But sometimes shit is hard. You do have to earn. I think in general, like we've lost the ability to say, oh, we worked our ass off and we earned stuff like that. It can't just be given to you.
Yeah, that goes into the I guess the end of this is like when is the right time? Because a lot of times, like, because I've been in a situation similar, like where like I got thrown in 6 months, like feet hit the ground, hit the ground running, like you're taking a lot more things that you were signed on to do, and like you look around and see like the standard of or the salaries of people that do the jobs that you do, and they get paid way more. It's hard not to be like, damn, like why I'm not making that. So like when is the appropriate time? And I get it's case by case, like the overall situation, but like when is there like a standard you guys follow, like, or like should you wait a year? Should you wait till you had your first review? What do you guys think?
I mean, I like the review thing because then it's a good like piggyback with documentation from a legal standpoint and from a just from documentation standpoint too. Just have examples of whether you did well or what you are good doing, what you constructive criticism or feedback from. I think another good time to ask for a raise could be you do maybe a quarter. So you know what I'm saying. If you're looking at if your business is very cyclical and it's the most profitable quarter that you guys normally have is maybe the third or fourth quarter. Well, that sounds like a good opportunity to talk to them about a raise because they might not be necessarily penny pinching. If you're trying to talk to somebody when they're at the end of their budget, you know what I'm saying, at the budget year, or they're trying to budget for next year, then that's probably not a good opportunity to really talk to your boss. Yeah, so you know what I'm saying, if you are looking at quarters, that could be another opportunity to be like, hey man, I know about the budget for the next fiscal year. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to put my hat in the ring, like shit, to see what can I increase my earnings going into next year.
No, the reviews I think is a really good time because that's when they're planning on their raises, when they're budgeting out their raises. So when they review the end of the year, they have a number budgeted for you already, and that's when they're talking about it up above you. That's what the conversation having. Have a conversation then. Know what your number is. Like, oh, okay, I know it's my review time. I know you guys are thinking about what you're gonna give people now. This is what I was thinking of. Also, I think, I know like in corporate offices or companies, like a lot of this shit happens. When good things happen, like companies like to dick swing and send emails. Oh, look what we did this quarter. They'll send those emails out right there. Well, shit. If you got like three straight quarters, if you have 3 straight quarters of like, oh, look how good we're doing. Well, then okay,
let me get some.
Wrong. But on the flip side, if people getting laid off left and right,
that's not a good opportunity.
Probably shouldn't ask for a raise.
But I don't know.
Well, if the supervisor above you gets laid off, you're like, well, I can do this job.
Well, Aaron, they always said don't let a good pandemic go to waste.
I mean, I guess, yeah.
It's not a pandemic on paper, is it?
Like when
it's a pandemic.
When people getting laid off and every time, whenever your lunch table just gets like, there's like a new seat over there every day.
Home, nigga.
Bama's in the lunchroom eating their tuna salad. He like, what happened to Jim?
And it's starting to look like that scene in Life and everybody just start dying. Probably don't.
That is hilarious.
Probably
That's
don't.
exactly how it be too.
Oh god, that's funny. You just walk in that lunchroom, you just see one nigga sitting eating that tuna salad.
Yeah, you like, damn, what happened to Jim? I just saw Jim cleaning out his locker. Cleaning out his desk.
This nigga playing the league. He saw nigga get released.
He just changed his key card.
Yeah, man. He hitting waivers. I hope he can re-pick him up.
Yeah, man.
Oh god, that is funny. Yeah, but I definitely agree. Like in terms of how you should approach it, just based on how I think of it. Yeah, doing it on your yearly review probably helps. And generally speaking, it is true that like a lot of us as millennials, like the biggest thing is we do get impatient. Like we always think I'm supposed to have, like generally speaking, a lot of us may think I'm supposed to have 100K before I'm 30 or something like that. And it's not to say that it's impossible. It's not to say that it can't happen. But it's like, you're setting yourself with all of these parameters and things where you feel like you should be in life.
It's an arbitrary number.
Yeah, it takes away. And 100K don't mean 100K everywhere you go. Like 100K in Chicago, I mean, not in Chicago.
In DC,
I'm looking for like small random. 100K in Boise and 100K in DC. That's two different 100Ks. I'm giving extremes, but I'm just saying, like, it's different. It's different types of numbers. Like, you hit that 100K. Nigga, you can hit 100K, go to DC, and you still feel like you can't afford to live by yourself. Like, you may take over.
100K and then get a farm in Sheboygan, Wisconsin.
I'm about to say, you have a whole mansion. It's like, I watch House Hunters all the time. We looking, damn, 250K can get you that. I love House Hunters, is great. But just generally speaking, like, bro, like, you gotta approach it within, like, time for you to review, or, don't be too impatient about it. You get to your review, and if you get to your review and they tell you, all right, we feel like you haven't done enough, don't, get too down about it. Just kind of ask, all right, well, what do you feel like I can do? And sometimes you take what they feel like you can do, and again, you could go somewhere else and figure it out, or you could do it there. It's just one of those things where it's like, yes, there isn't anything wrong inherently with asking for a raise, but the biggest thing is just understanding, just because your ass ain't getting that. You gotta understand, the biggest thing in life is, the worst thing they can say is no, and one of the things you should always be prepared for to hear is no. Like, nigga, you get rich by not paying people. Like, that's just kind of like the reality of society. And so it's one of those things where, just kind of, go in there, do your job, do the best you could do, kill that shit. And, you ask for your raise, you see what you can get. And if you can't get it, bruh, write down, like whichever one of y'all said it, write down every freaking compliment they gave you throughout the year. Pull up at another job, be like, hey man, look, I brought in these clients at my new job. We did this. Revenue was great. Social media was popping. Just tell them all the stuff you did. And, fine. Maybe you re-up somewhere else. But the biggest thing is, as millennials, you ask when you feel like you need to ask, but just if it don't happen, and it's the hardest thing in the world, like I'm saying it as a person who struggles with it as well. It's just like, sometimes you just gotta be patient. It's like, all right, cool. I may get a slight bump here, like you get a cost of living raise or something like that. Those suck. But you get like a cost of living raise, and then it's like, I gotta take that for now, but then maybe it don't even gotta be a full year out. Sometimes you can maybe circle back in 6 months and things are a little bit better, and you've shown within those 6 months, hey, I've taken a more lead on projects. I've gotten more of my project management bag. I feel like I've done a little bit more with junior employees. And you're able to move up then. It's just one of those things where it's like, hey, ask during your yearly review, but, just be prepared for worst case scenario. Every time that you ask for a raise, you're not going to get a raise. So, if they tell you no, fine. Just learn what you need to do so that either here or there, you can get the money that you want, or close to the money you want. You ain't always going to get what you want, but, so you can get as close as possible to that number.
That's fact. That impatient shit be killing me though too, because like we are impatient, but at the same time, like I always say, like we learn things fast, like because we have the privilege of a lot of learning.
Because if you feel like you're better than everybody else and you can document, then you can fucking go nuts.
Right. I don't know. I think we're also forgetting another factor that plays into why millennials are impatient with asking for raises.
Because other niggas won't retire.
No, I think because
that old nigga
like, millennials have a ton of student debt. We have cost of living has gone up.
Absolutely, yes, I agree with you.
Wages have have not increased. So I mean, they're like trying to figure out a way, or we are trying to figure out a way. I'm talking about they like I'm a boomer.
help me.
You know what I'm saying? We are trying to like naturally, people before us. Naturally there was a level of progression. You know what I mean? Like they just so happen to happen. But things, I mean, have y'all seen inflation?
I just put gas in my car today. That's all.
Yeah, so like millennials are naturally like, yes, we can be impatient. If a web plays don't load in an instant, we can be upset. But at the same time, we all get a short end of stick too when it comes to our economy. I mean, shit, all of us came out in the recession at 08. And now we're dealing with this bullshit with the pandemic.
I mean, like, if you're financially needed, like, go for it. You know what I'm saying? Don't sit at a job where you're just not.
You take a half-court shot. Fuck it. You make it.
Well,
the biggest thing is we're all telling you to ask. Nobody's telling you don't ask. It's just one of those things where it's like you can ask if you like, but just be prepared if it goes wrong.
Jones in the motherfucking end zone.
Make sure your shit is in order. Everything's documented.
Make sure you secure the catch before you throw the ball down at the one.
All right. If somebody,
or spike it on, saying or no, whether or not you.
We have a listener challenge. If one of the listeners want to go and videotape themselves going to their boss saying, "Give me $50 million, I'm gonna quit," and send it to us. You get a free shout out on the next podcast.
Do it.
So
free shout out.
We may not get 50 million, but
that's a Kanye line. But any amount, just say it.
Yeah, step in Def Jam building. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and if we don't get 50 million, we'll give you $5.
Yeah.
Dollars,
yes.
Yes, between the four of us.
Cash App. You text Cash App?
$125 a piece. Absolutely. We'll all see you 125 individuals. We ain't even gonna see you 5 all the way.
Enjoy.
Damn, that's smooth.